What's up, y'all? I'm Ros Gold-Onwude, and I am here with the legend, Cynthia Cooper. Cynthia, how are you? So cool to see you.
Well, I'm doing fantastic, Roz. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just cool to share space with you, and just years of admiring you and watching you. You've meant so much to the game and to so many players around the world.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. The whole thing about basketball, basketball is in my heart. I love it. It's in my spirit. And so whenever I play, I want to leave something to the game, some level, some type of legacy. So kids aspire to be great when they play basketball.
I mean, that's exactly what you did. And it's fitting for the time right now as the WNBA is celebrating year 25. And in celebration, they created a W25 list of the top 25 players all time in the WNBA. And before we even talk about who's on the list, I first want to just talk about the metrics of that. How do you think the GOAT, the greatest of all time, should be measured?
Well, it's difficult to measure the GOAT because people remember and people they relate to what's happening to them at that moment. They don't necessarily take the time to look at what happened before that time. And, I played in the WNBA 20 something years ago, 25 years ago. And some of these voters weren't even born yet. So people relate to the people they see right now as opposed to not necessarily the players in history. So, for me, measuring the GOAT, you measure the GOAT in championships because you have a lot of scorers, you have a lot of shooters, you have a lot of slashers or great defensive players. But I think the GOAT is measured when you go look at championships and who helped make their team better and who helped win championships for their team, hit clutch shots, made clutch passes. I think that's how you kind of measure the GOAT.
Wow. So you can't be the GOAT without a chip. You one of them great players who might have been held out by a dynasty like yourself, the Comets, or the Bulls, or the Warriors. If you were a player who was excellent, but held away from a championship because you played during that time, you can't be considered in this conversation?
I think you can always be considered. You can always be considered because there are lots of great players. You can always be considered. That's why they have a Hall of Fame. They have a Hall of Fame for everyone, for the great players that are just talented and are gifted and they leave a legacy and they're unguardable or they just play monster defense or you can't keep them off the boards. They are great players, but I think the GOAT goes with championships. You help your team. You don't have to have the greatest players on your team. You don't have to have the big three. You find a way and will your team to a championship in spite of, or in addition to. Some things happen in your lives, some obstacles, and you overcome those obstacles and still will your team to a championship. So I think the conversation has to start with championships.
Who's your WNBA GOAT and why?
Well, I would say I really have two, but I'll go with Diana Taurasi because that's the first name popped in my head. Because she is a bucket waiting to happen. She's won multiple championships on different levels. So it wasn't just in the WNBA, but go to UConn or go to the Olympic team. Everywhere she goes, or over in Russia, everywhere she goes, championships follow. So, and she's an integral part of those championships. She can score from the three-pointer, she can score getting to the rim, or she can penetrate, draw, and kick to clutch shooters that knock down key jumpers in the important moments of the game. So I would throw out Diana Taurasi. The second name that came to mind right away was Maya Moore and what she did. Cheryl Swoops, Cheryl Miller, and Maya Moore are the only three players that I've really seen master both sides of the ball. So they're a scoring threat. They can score from three. They can get to the rim, but they also play great, aggressive in the passing lane defense. That then you can spark a fast break from their type of defense. So I would say Maya Moore as well.
Where do you think you stand in this conversation?
Well, you know, you can't call yourself the GOAT, but I know couldn't nobody guard me.
The GOAT conversation for your list, you had mentioned, you know, Diana Taurasi, you said Maya Moore. Could you personally give me like a top 5? Just, you know, I know this is off the top of your head of who you think are in that list of great players.
That's gonna be tough, but I'm gonna go with Diana. I would say Maya. I'd go with Lisa Leslie, and then the other two has to be Tina and Cheryl.
Maya, Diana,
Tina,
Leslie,
and Cheryl.
And Cheryl. Okay, and so you didn't put yourself on the list. Okay, cool. So that's your that's cool.
Well, you know, I didn't put myself on the list because I didn't play to be the GOAT. I didn't play to be, you know, even considered in a conversation. I play to be the best version of myself every single day and help my team win championships. So, you know, if someone asked me, am I the GOAT? I would turn it back around. Am I? You know, am I the GOAT? You know, did I achieve that status? You know, I was surprised to be a Hall of Famer, because that's just, I don't think that way. That's not how I confronted my game.
I mean, okay, so coming back to the Comets, you guys were super stacked. And, you know, the conversation right now often is around super teams. Were you guys a super team?
No, no, that's a misconception. Think about this for a second. I came to the Comets at 34. Nobody even knew what I could do. Yeah, they saw some film on me, but I was still 34, tail end of my career. Tina Thompson was a rookie coming straight out of college. No one knew what type of impact and how long it would take her to kind of get her game right. And Cheryl Swoops was pregnant. So how are we a stacked team? We developed into that. We worked hard. Cheryl had her son and then got in shape and got right back on a defensive and offensive force to be reckoned with. You know, we came together. There's a process in that. We didn't skip a beat though. You know, we won the first championship, and then when the influx of ABL players came in the very next year, and everyone said, hey, there's no way they could repeat. Well, yeah, we did. And not only did we repeated with a 90% winning percentage. The most of any professional, the highest of any professional team. So yeah, you know, we evolved into the big three, but we definitely weren't the big three at the beginning. We didn't even have Cheryl. Cheryl was having baby Jordan.
How did you guys learn how to share the burden and also the shine together as all of y'all stars began to explode?
I think you learn how to accept the shine when you're focused on the same goal. And I think we just all kind of got together and said, what's the goal? Is to go for me to win an MVP, or you to win a scoring champion or title, or you to win? No, what is the number one goal of our team? And that's to win a championship. And once we all bought into that, that's kind of how we rode. That's how we walked in the gym. That's how we walked into practice. That's how we walked into the weight room. That became our personality and how we confronted every single season. And once again, Tina Thompson was coming out of college. So she was constantly adding to her game and evolving right before our eyes. Cheryl Swoops was coming off the Olympics. She continued to evolve and grow and get better and better. And me, I was pretty much the complete player that I was going to be, because once again, I'm at the tail end, but I was also the one that was more mature and just kind of calm. You know, I didn't really get too high. I didn't really get too low. And my central focus was always on basketball being time sensitive and me making it hot right now, like in this moment. Like, bring the noise now. Don't wait. You can't. So that was the fuel to our fire every year.
Speaking of the moment right there and right then, what do you think was the Comets' impact on the trajectory of the league?
I thought the Comets made basketball cool. It made basketball fun to watch. And it won over all of or most of the male naysayers that women's professional basketball wasn't fun to watch and wasn't competitive enough, and that we couldn't, have a strong fan base. I think the Comets really showed the world, definitely the American public, that you can be fierce on the court and really gain a lot of fan support.
So then why'd you leave after the fourth chip?
I mean, I was 38. It was time for me to do other things, to have a family, to, I really wanted to do other things. I felt like I had accomplished my goal in the WNBA, and it was time to move on to different things in my life, in my career.
Do you have any what ifs?
Oh no. I know what would have happened. If I had stayed, we'd have won more championships.
That part.
I'm just saying. No, what if I stayed? We would have won more championships.
Some people compare you to Michael Jordan. They would say, well, Cynthia Cooper is like Michael Jordan of the WNBA. Do you like that comparison? Is that the right comparison for you?
Well, I think in people's mind, yes, it is. In their mind, they're saying, Michael Jordan was the best and Cynthia Cooper was the best. And I'll tell you, I was pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. I know my worth. I don't want to say the GOAT here or there, because I know what I did. I know what I brought to the game. I know how people felt defending me. We found a scouting report in the gym, and mine was like a page long. Like, she goes this, she does that, she does this, you got to do this on her. My point being, I know who I am. Now, you can title it however you want, but at the end of the day, it's all about what you personally give to the game to then lay the foundation so that the league is not just exists, but is successful. Mm-hmm. And that little girls can dream like you dreamed.
What do you believe is your basketball legacy?
I think my legacy is, I was never afraid to make a mistake. So I prepared myself and put myself in a position to be a champion. And I never let any obstacles or hardships stop me from being the best version of myself and achieving greatness. And so if I were to say one thing, it would be, I achieved greatness during my time playing basketball.